Hello, everybody. This is Jack Porcari, the Canna Professor, and you're watching Normalizing Wonder, a fine source for practical spirituality in support of authentic experience. Now join us as we bounce to the rhythm of life together. I'm here with Halim and Byron. We're going to be having a unique conversation. We really are diving into a lot of topics that might not get a lot of airtime, and so we appreciate you tuning in for this special conversation. Halim, let's just get to know you a little bit more. Let's let the viewers know about who you are.
Who am I? I'm a musician. I'm a construction guy. I'm a former political guy. I'm a Sufi. I'm a Qigong guy.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah. I've had a very interesting life.
I love the music. I love writing. I love combining so many different things. So it's great to see someone who's made a lifestyle out of that and really combine that.
Yeah, there's a few other topics that'll come up.
Yeah. So I think the thing that we should really talk about is I had this transformational experience.
Yeah.
And this is really the first time coming out about it for anyone watching this. This is incredibly personal for me. I did a Reiki session with a good friend of mine and really uncovered some things about myself. And you were the first person that came into my mind when I was thinking about, what is the meaning of this? What is this all about? And so I did a Reiki session. Mainly did it because I'm epileptic. I've read a lot of research online, talking about the benefits of Reiki, how that could help with just the overall symptoms of epilepsy, even cure it, I've seen in some cases. So I was like, Reiki, like this seems interesting. What is this all about? Right. And so let me just start at the beginning. I smoked a little cannabis before, kind of get me in the right mindset. And
Incinerated it or vaped it?
No, it wasn't incineration. It was a vape. I have my cannabis vape called the Venti by Stores and Bickle, and had about half a gram.
Half a gram?
Yeah, half a gram of some nice flour and buffalo grown sour diesel from the Legacy Market, and just really, I went in, laid down on a yoga mat. The light shining through just at the very top of the room, not too much light, but there was some, and started off with singing bowls, right? And I was like, okay, this is interesting. I've heard of this sound baths, like, oh, that's come join a sound bath. I've always heard about that, but never really took it into practice, took it seriously. I honestly was coming from a place of non-believing, like I'd be surprised if this worked, right? So that's kind of the mindset. I got a little stoned, got myself loosened up, and that's how I'm coming into this session. And right away, I noticed, like, I've never felt like this before, right? And so I think that's something like,
See, that's a line you can sing. I've never felt like this before.
Yeah, no, put that on one of my songs. No, for real.
Well, when we make it the animated version, you'll break into that.
I will.
You was like the superhero with the cape.
Yeah. So I was flying. I was flying in the sense that I was not in the physical realm. And I don't know if anyone has experienced that. You definitely have experienced that. And so I began seeing visions. They were vivid visions. And when I say vivid, they are seem to me more real than what I'm looking at right now. So the first vision, I started to see it. We're working on the root chakra, then the solar, and I'm starting to feel like this interesting sensation. It's like, feels like my feet are underneath a block of concrete. It's not like it's in pain, and I'm like, oh, ow, but it's
grounded.
So grounding. Planted. Yes, I'm planted. And man, I mean, what an experience to be that grounded.
That's earth element.
Earth element.
Yeah. And it's like in one of the chakra systems, that's the element of the root chakra, right? So you're like,
expand on that for me, like the root chakra. That's very obviously grounding. It's the closest to the ground.
Yeah, and it's the emotion that's sometimes seen as going with it is shame,
Right.
And so it's like, is it okay for me to actually exist in this form, right? And when you step into that, yes, I am here, and you got an invite,
right?
You got like, this is your throne here. When you're ready to sit in it, we got it prepared for you.
See now, guys, that's such an interesting point you bring up, because it was an invitation.
I'm going by what I'm feeling from what you're saying.
Because I mean, we're talking to an expert here, right? Like, we're talking to an expert, and like, so we feel these things. They come to us. They're natural. They're intuitive, right? Their intuition. And it wasn't just like I started, boom, all these crazy visual psychedelics. Oh my God. No, it was like, I was like, do you want to see this? Is that like, it was like this permission.
Nice.
It was like this permission, right? And
permission, or you gave permission to it.
I gave permission to it. And it was like someone was summoning me. Yeah. And so they're like, do you want to see this?
Getting goose flesh. That is so benevolent, because sometimes you just get like, launched out of a random catapult into something.
Do we now?
I have noticed this, yes. And to have the moment when you had the power to say no and you said yes, that's significant.
Yeah. And for me, guys, it was only did I start seeing those visions once there was this internalized sense of surrender, right?
Surrender is a very good word.
So it's like this feeling inside, this beating heart feeling of surrender. And then it was like, now I'm able to take this in fully, because it's like, and once I had that sense of, I'm going to surrender, I'm going to see what this has to say. And again, still in a state of disbelief.
And you had no sense that this was going to be your agenda when you started this session.
I just thought I was getting.
I'm going to get a little energy healing.
Right, I'm going to get some energy healing.
Yeah,
right?
And then
right, exactly. Zappy do. You don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, and so then I get into it, and it's like, wow, okay.
So wait a second. What day was this?
This was on the 7th.
The 7th. So 2 weeks ago.
Friday.
And what time of day?
It was around 3:33. No joke. Like 3:33 is probably when I started to see the visions, because I smoking around 3:00.
So the triple digits. I heard a tradition. Somebody was very clear that this meant angels were present.
Right.
And it's like, it's there's a triple digit every hour.
Yeah.
But when you notice it, it might mean, should I?
Yeah. No. Right.
And welcome, my friends.
Welcome, my friends, from another realm. No, but you have to be welcoming, right? Because
you get to be welcoming.
It's an opportunity.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
It's a choice. And you'd be all right. You'd still have a significant experience if you hadn't said yes to it.
Right.
Right? You just had the one that you said yes to.
Exactly.
And it's a lot stronger of a position for your personality, right?
Yeah.
And your soul. Because they get to experience two different versions of the same experience.
Right.
Right? And one of you is saying, no, I don't know. It's not. That's what you experience then. Your cells experience what your brain tells them is going on.
And there was this fight, y'all. Like, anyone that's watching this, like, I don't want you to think that it was just like, okay, yeah, cool, we're gonna run the tape. like that's not what was going on here. Like, there was like, I don't know, maybe I should. Okay,
is this even happening?
Right? No, is this even happening? And
you know why that is? Because you're not stupid. Right? If you were a little bit stupid, or you're just going, oh, cool. But part of you is like smart in the way of taking a step back and observing. Right? And that's there to save your ass.
Right.
And the fact that you gave that skeptic enough time to choose is another reason why you got to go as deep as you did.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
There's a lot of aspects to this.
And the thing about it is these thoughts were rolled into feelings that I felt like,
Ooh, very
like cotton
strong.
on a shirt. Like it was just like, I knew that's what it was.
Like cotton on a shirt?
Yeah, like cotton in a shirt. Whatever. You know what I'm trying to say.
No. I love metaphors.
Yeah, because it just felt so weaved into the fabric of everything. It felt so like that's what it is. Like, that's
right.
surrender. That's, humility. That's
okay. There's a name for that in Sufi terms. That's called yaqeen.
Yaqeen.
Y-A-Q-I-N is how they write in English, and it's certainty.
Certainty.
That thing when somebody said one time, "How do you know when you've done enough steps in a spiritual healing?" And it's like, well, it's like if you throw a stone in the water, it makes a splash, and then a noise, and then concentric circles going out. And if you listen really, really close, you can hear the noise of when the stone hits the bottom of the pond, and that's certainty. Right. So tee into that. Just take a couple breaths. Find that place in your gut that knew, right? Because you want to bookmark that, right? Because that's your pole star for a certain thing. That's like there's one of the ways that you're going to get confirmation is this real or bullshit. Is that feeling that you had, right? And it doesn't matter what anybody else says about it,
because it's real.
It's yours. Yeah, it's your life. Yeah. And it's as real as you can make it be.
So yeah, speaking on, making it real, like I want to get into these visions.
Make it real. Sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah. So speaking of these visions, I really want to make it real because just to take you into like my mind, my life, and I'm totally okay diving. I'm an open book. So we're going to start off the first vision I had, and maybe you're like my mystic here. So.
Well, let me just tell you what I'm doing is because it's like I'm letting myself see what you're showing me. Right. And then I'm coming at it from a different angle than you are. And the training for this came from a Sufi dream analysis session I did with the Turkish Marufi Rufai Sharif Baba, his name was. And I had a really intense dream. And they said, come tell Baba he loves dream analysis. So they translated it into Turkish for him, and he got really excited. And he said, you are every part of this dream. And you look at it from the part of this guy and that table and that room and that plan, and you do it because it's yours. Right? So you look at it from the way you look at it, and then you think, oh, look, there's a top view.
Right.
And it's all got different shit for you. As much, you do it until it... Till you go to sleep.
No, no, that's interesting though, because that's what I felt like this whole Reiki session was about, was different perspectives, breaking outside the cube and realizing it's a sphere.
Well, it's like you got a bunch of other cameras.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, I didn't know I had this one.
Right.
Right? You're still the same guy.
Yeah.
But you're seeing from different angles.
Mm-hmm.
This is good. This is very good.
I this is a full circle moment, and I can't believe we haven't even gotten to the visions yet, because I'm excited. So bringing you into the first one, I just kind of like pictured, we were doing this meditation with singing bowls, and I'd listen to them in my ears. So, dong.
And you're lying down with your eyes closed,
with a face covering, so I can't. Even if I open my eyes, it's just dark. It's like a sleeping mask. Okay, so we start hearing the singing bowls. After the surrender happens, this is when the vision comes.
See, that alone would have been worth the price of the session.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're like a, single digits in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that alone, and so then you start to see this sense of surrender, and you're like, okay, now it starts to feel like there's this trance. Like there's this tide rolling on the ocean, and then I get sucked into it.
Whoa.
And I'm like sucked into the tide. And I didn't feel like, oh, I'm underwater, oh my God. But then it's like, okay, now my mind is in this.
But you were in a different trajectory, and you were like, what, going feet first?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in a
man.
tube being delivered to somewhere.
Okay, so hear this out. The first thing.
See, I'm seeing this as you're saying it.
So the vision, the first one, it was part of the meditation, was like, imagine a cord, coming from the universe, and then imagine a cord coming from the center of the earth, meeting at your body. Then I started to see these metal cords, and they were like, I saw like a third person perspective of my body, but it was a silhouette, and it was like from above, and it was like in that building that I was in. So I knew geographically I was right where I was from. It was this silhouette, and these two pieces of metal meet really quick, and it's like, and it's like one thing happens in a blink of an eye, but then it starts to go deeper in, and I start to see in slow motion that it wasn't just, it was these two metal wires fusing, and I got to see them fuse into the shape of a 8-bit heart.
I don't know what that means.
Like a pixelated heart. And that's what it, so they fuse.
Oh, so it's a symbol for you, and showing these an image and
the heart,
a degree of the image of the heart and a degree of resolution.
So right, and this is a big theme for me, was letting go of things. And so it was interesting that it was a heart. It was like the first thing I saw was these two things fusing together. I could see the metal melting, and it's like panning in this 360, spinning around as this heart gets drawn out of the metal. And
the cords formed the heart?
The cords formed the heart.
And they were still connected, but they were they were all this shit.
They connected, and then they started forming this heart in my heart, where my heart would be. In the silhouette. And it was this 360 interaction, and it just kept spinning around like it was like cinematography was.
And you're watching this from above.
At first it's from above, and then once the heart comes into play, then it's like this cinematic 4K, like super detailed, spinning around as it's being created. It's like how it's made. It's like,
but were you was it in your chest, or were you looking down at it?
Yeah, it was in my chest.
And so you went out, and then this connected, and then you came back.
And then I went into my body, and I was in the void, watching this heart form inside my silhouette. And that was the first vision. Okay. So that,
you could call it a vision.
Yeah.
Or, session.
Yeah. And so very unique experience. I, again, just felt a lot of emotional release in
what emotions?
For me, it was just, like disbelief. That whole thing of like, this could resolve my problems went away. Like I was no longer in the state of disbelief. I saw this heart, and I was like, okay, this is like something that really ties into my story, like my life, what my experience is. And so then I started to realize, like, wait, maybe this is actually tailored to me and trying to show me something. And I really started to get excited. I started to feel these emotions coming of like, I'm excited to see what I open, like I'm excited to explore that. Right.
And was there any fear?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. There's going to be like,
well, there's probably all of them there, right?
It's hard to, and again,
but it's like which one is, and that's why you look at it multiple times, right?
So we're having this conversation,
right? And you can have 10 more of these, right? And I would recommend writing it out.
I typed it up.
No, write it in longhand 4 or 5 times, different ways, looking at it from different things. What about if I was feeling shame? What about if I was feeling rage? What about, it's, those are the kind of things.
Yeah. I know you're right.
It's like this only happens to you once, but it's not a time and space thing. By going into these other realities, you're outside of time and space.
It's not right here. It's not.
It is right here, but it's there too. Right? It's like it's in, but it's not of the regular world.
Yeah. It in, but not of. In, but not of. That's interesting.
Hazrat Khan said, ideally, we will experience the multiplicity within the oneness and the oneness within the multiplicity.
That's a mouthful, but it's true.
Well, it's just like out there, and people are going to go like,
Yeah.
they either know exactly what it means in an instant, or just go like, file that one.
Yeah, file that one in
I
the
mean, I
BS
did that
column.
first 40 years ago, and I still go.
That's what it was, though. That's what led to the disbelief going away was hey, there's the interconnectedness of all things, and
it showed it to you in a languaging, in a symbology that you got.
That was right for me at that point in
Yes.
my life at that time,
right,
with those circumstances,
right, and you know, that's a sweetheart deal right there, because sometimes the most appropriate something is something that scares the living fuck out of you, and in this one you went, oh, this feels so right.
Oh no, we're gonna get to the scare the living fuck out of you. We'll
yeah,
get to that
for
part.
the first one,
right? For
right?
the first
one is skeptical, then it's like, oh,
right. No, you're right.
And that's how they get you.
It's scary.
Did you sign a thing saying you'd give them money every month?
What?
Or did you say yes into the telephone?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, mark me down.
People always get hustled by these incredible spiritual experiences, and then, they wind up with subscriptions to shit.
No. This was a very down to earth thing. It's not commoditized.
I'm teasing here.
Okay. All right. Just. But pulling it back, like, it really was kind of crazy that moment of like the connectedness,
You probably,
and it wasn't psychedelic. Like, I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't, I just had a little cannabis before, and I set an intention before I went outside to smoke. I was just like, I really want to, get into myself. I want to get into my feelings. I want to be introspective. That's the mood I was going into this session with. The intention was just to have a general pulse check that's what I told my practitioner. Like, I just want to have a pulse check on my life, and so this is what it was.
Oh, cool.
And so
you just got it. You just got like a fifth dimension pulse check.
Yeah. So fifth dimension pulse check. I mean, this is
good patent, that one.
yeah, we got the shoulder view, we got fifth dimension. So, but this next vision, I mean, this one, we thought the heart was like personal, like, oh, you're going through some things with love and life is hard, but now it starts to really get,
it means a good deal more than that.
Personal. Yeah, it starts to really get personal in this next vision, and I start to see, you're familiar with the Aha music video and the spinning around. Have you've seen it? No. Take on Me. Take on me.
Is it like 30 years old?
On me. Yeah, it's a long ass fucking time ago.
Yeah, I only paid attention to that kind of shit like every few seasons.
Okay.
Right? So if it didn't come out, I missed it.
Hey, no, it's all good.
But you can show it to me.
I'll show it to you.
You saw something like that?
It wasn't like that, but it's just like something very easily to relate. So,
nice.
Just imagine a blend of like colors and sketch and like reality.
Okay, I'm gonna
all in one.
I'm gonna underline something here. You said that you set your intention and grounded yourself before you went into this
to smoke, and then before,
and then went into the session with a clear understanding of what you wanted to happen, right? And then you got something that fit your nervous system and your aesthetic sense and your sense of the way imagery works, right? You got something designed to help you because you asked for something to help you. When Ram Dass, Richard Alpert, was starting to experience LSD, he said the thing is set and setting, right? The set of your mind and the setting you're in. And if you take responsibility for that, you are more likely to get an experience in harmony with your request. If you go in saying, the way we used to, I want to violate a lot of laws and laugh really hard.
Right.
It's like, okay.
That's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to do. But I mean, so this vision, right? Like I go in and it starts to really get, I mean, this is getting personal now, and it's just, and it doesn't really, it's not photo real. This one, it's just sketches. Like it's like hand-drawn animation, and it starts out with blur of colors and shapes, and then it starts to form into a car, and this car is going down the road, and it's like repeating. It's almost like it's a GIF. Like it's like,
did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it?
And then this car, and then this car.
Yeah, I've had that.
It's weaving in and out. You've had that in your visions too?
Yeah.
And Reiki and LSD and yeah. You've seen that.
Yeah.
So that's
not the car, but the repetition of it.
The repetition.
Yeah, dreams do that.
Yeah. So
I don't think you got it. Do you think you got it? I don't think you got to give it to him again.
No. So this was the thing. I think that's, again, it was trying to show me, like through the metaphor of the animation. So I'll get into. So this car starts to develop, and then I realized, like, you know, shit, that's me in the car. And then I'm like, wait, like a lot of my past relationship, you know, I spent in the car with my ex, and there was like this attachment, like of like, this relationship is giving me a sense of security. Like this relationship is giving me a sense of like, you know, everything in my life is okay now. And I associated that, like, I guess I never put but I'm like always in the car, and I'm always. And so then once that realization comes, then I start to see like smoke coming out of the car window like crazy. And it's like, okay, like what's going on here? And then I see these two circles like coming in, like they're coming into view, these two circles. And it's like they form a pair of sunglasses. Again, all sketched. It's not like photoreal. And
schematics,
exactly. And this is crazy. Mind you, the car is still weaving in and out while the sunglasses are fading in. The second they fade in, it's no longer like a playful thing. Like it starts to really, like, then it's like the sunglasses and this are at 50% opacity. They're overlaid. I could see both of them. And then I start to see that GIF playing on top of the sunglasses. And I'm like, wait, I'm not only in the car, I'm watching myself internalize this hurt over and over and over and over. And,
wow, that's strong.
And all of this can be gone in the blink of a red light.
Yeah. Blink of a red light.
You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Right? Like, and if that's not a metaphor for like letting go, for being authentic to who you are,
and the way you are completely permitted to say, no, I want to hold on to it. Right? Because a lot of the hurts that we have didn't originate in our lifetime. Right? They're a little protective thing saying, oh, we know what this leads to, and this leads to a lot of discomfort. So we're going to step right in here and say, this is how we do this. You go sit down. We'll narrate this experience here. Yeah.
So that was, and again, that thought coming to mind is, you know, very, very permanent thought of like, is this really happening? Is this really happening right now? I was like starstruck because it was just, I've never seen a message so tangible to what I was going through. It made me see a side of myself that was like Jack, like, slow down, kid. You're taking in too much of this, and you need to have a filter. And
too much of
this negativity that you're breeding for yourself. And it was like, when I saw the sunglasses flash and the light flashed by it for the first time, I realized, wait, I just gotta let that shit go. And it was like, and it was like someone pulled, like, it's like my chest had 500 needles in it, and then it was like each vision was pulling like 100 needles out, and it was like crazy how it felt like just literally weaving into my body and pulling out all of these things that are taking me down. I don't know how to describe it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's like someone cuts you open and they're just rearranging it. I don't know.
I had a lot of these.
Yeah.
I was
what was one of your? Give me one of yours.
I did a 3-year program in what's called Sufi spiritual healing.
Okay.
And they were one-on-one sessions, either in person or over the telephone, and we saw shit like this fairly often. One of the formats was this decal that you'd put up on the wall behind the client's head, and it was like a schematic of. And it had prayer written on it in Arabic, and then it had these things that represented angels.
Okay.
And you're working on, this is going to sound nuts, but you're working on imagery that gets imprinted on your optic nerve,
Wow.
right? And it's like there's an interior column, a lucite column, and then there's decals pasted on it of realities, fake realities. And it's like you get so you can barely see through it. And you do this cool shit with this. It's called the all right, this is how you write the word Allah in Arabic.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're looking through the eye of Allah into their left eye, and you read this prayer, and then all of a sudden, and first it's the person there going, and then there's like a shutter drops, and you see pictures, and you see them peel off like you got a scraper, and you're like a window scraper, and you're scraping off the thing, and they leave, and then this is where the next part comes, and then you're done with that. That's enough. Yeah. And your hand gets towed down to their heart, and you watch shit get remade. And one time I was doing this, and I hear this, and goes, and it moved the hand over, and they look like, did you ever see the movie Despicable Me?
Yeah.
That's what they look like. They're little bitty critters that fly around, and they readjust scaffolding. They'll like build a section of scaffolding around something and then release the thing into the scaffolding and tow it away.
And so these were visions that you saw as a part of like your meditation practice.
It's a part of my healing practice.
As a part of your healing practice.
Yeah, I did about 100 of those.
100 of those. Where was that? In Buffalo, New York?
No.
Yeah, in Buffalo, New York.
No. They had their base in Napa, California.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that must have been, breaking the wall down. I mean, like.
So that's there's names of the different terrain, the different realms that you go to in classical Islamic Sufism.
Okay.
Right. And you're in one called Jabarut when you're seeing the schematics, and then when you're seeing the really florid imagery, you're in Malakut, and that's like wizards and angels, and then the repair staff is in Malakut. So you're seeing like cartoon versions of something that's actually going on, and the reason they wanted me to look at it is because it really helps having an outside observer. Right. And if you can find gratitude for it, concentrate on that and let your breath carry the gratitude around. And that will continue the healing into your flesh. Because right now it's only sort of in the flesh, right? You had emotions, but you were mostly like in awe. Right. And it's like it's still ringing, and it'll keep ringing right down into the, you want your nervous system worked on, but take it into your bones.
You're right. No, and speaking of like taking it into my bones, I want to describe the next vision.
Yeah.
That,
Is this okay?
This is
because I'm having a blast.
I don't know about you. This is like healing to talk about this.
Good.
And so
I love this shit.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
This is cool. So, this next vision, it was interesting. I went through a wormhole right after that whole sketchy this and that, my ex, and all these emotions of love, and then I was like so taken aback and like shocked and shaken, and then I just went boom, and it was like wormhole.
Next thing,
I was like, guys, give me a second to breathe. So you
experienced the aperture of going into another one?
I didn't feel the aperture at first, and then I started to look up, and I'm like, wait, where am I? I'm not in the car. I'm not looking at the car from above anymore. I'm not looking at the road. Wait. Oh, there's these rings. Then there starts to be these rings, and it's loosely defining the wormhole. It's like in a dark space, and these white rings.
And you're going
and then I start to feel. Then after looking at the rings for like a minute, I start to feel altitude, and I'm like, wait. I'm like going straight up. Like I'm literally all these rings, right? Then I start to see, wait, this isn't just space. Wait, there's blue, there's purple. now it starts to look like a watercolor painting going out, and crystalline blue that's spinning around me and rotating it as a solid color, but also so shiny and reflective. And I'm inside this thing, just mesmerized by this tube of light that's bringing me up, and the rings and rings. And then as I get close to the top, it really becomes apparent that this is not space, that this is the universe. And it starts to break out into perfect geometry, and I start to see mandalas, and
That's Jabarut.
And I'm looking up, and I'm like, I'm still going straight up. I'm like in a rocket ship. And it's so massive. It's the grandeur of going up in this, and being so small, and how
so you're
big.
A tiny part of.
And I'm looking up,
dude,
and I'm seeing I'm seeing it. It's like a chapel almost, but it's like, obviously it's like the sky. It's like, it's so like, you look up at that chapel, and it's like, wow, I can see the geometry. I can see the mandalas. They're so real. It's like it's hand drawn almost. And then I get to the end of the wormhole, and then it like comes up, and it's like, you could tell it's not just straight. And then it comes up, and the circle is spikes. There's spikes on the perimeter, going. So it's like the circle and then spikes.
So it's like a lamprey.
And it's not enough spikes that you can't get through it. It's just on the very perimeter, and they were decorated with all this like ancient iconography. And I couldn't see it because it was just going so fast.
Man.
But I knew it was like, I just knew, I was like, that's some ancient.
I'm really glad for you that this didn't happen because of drugs.
Right.
It's fine that if it does, but this, you can't say, oh, it was drugs.
Right. Yeah. That's the power of being in the moment. And so I was fully present.
And saying yes.
Yeah, and saying yes. Like I was there. I said yes. And so I try to go through the wormhole. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going through the end of this wormhole. Like, shit, this is getting scary. Like, I'm getting to the end of the wormhole. Like, okay, what's going to happen? And then it's like, and then I get pushed back, and then I go, and then I'm like 20 feet away, and I can start to make out, like, what are those ancient symbols? And then I get pushed back, like the force pushing me, like, and then I go back, and then I'm like, man, I want to get through this wormhole. Like, what could possibly be at the end of this thing, right? I'm just floating in the void. I don't even know why I'm in this wormhole. I just was in a sketch land of my previous relationship, and now I'm at the top of this spiky wormhole in the middle of nowhere. And then the third time I just go through, and it's like,
you went through
so easily, effortlessly.
Nice.
Like it was, butter. And so I get in, and this is the in your bones type of, this is the in your bones vision. Just like full disclosure, like this is where it starts to get, beyond just something trippy and cool. It was, I get in there, and I'm in this void. Now I'm in the wormhole. I pass through, and it's just utter darkness. Like I could like see the darkness. It seems like it's so dark. There's no light. You know it.
The void.
Yeah. And so then there's this sense in my stomach, my vagus nerve starts to tingle. I'm like stressed out and scared. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? And I sense something like 200 feet away from me that's like way bigger. And I'm still getting chills just describing this, like just to bring this out of me again.
Man,
it's like 200 feet away from me. I'm so afraid of what this could be. I don't know what it could be, right? There's an entity, there's something. I used to get this sense, this overwhelming sense coming to me, even though I'm not looking at it, even though I'm in a void, there's no light, and I'm afraid of that in and of itself. I begin to get this sensation that, like I'm on stage. Not that I'm on stage, but that everything I'm doing is being watched.
Yeah.
And it's like the curtain is up, I can do anything I want.
And you've forgotten your pants.
I could, no, it wasn't an embarrassment thing. It was more of like, I got the agency. Like I could do whatever the fuck I want. But the curtain is up, and people might know because I'm on, like, and then I started like, wow, it felt like I'm on trial. It felt like wow, like people are aware of what I'm like, every single solitary action. And then as that started to bubble, now the vision starts, and I start to see some magnificent, just life changing. This is the moment. I see this serpent, and again, the serpent is like twice the size of this room. Like it's like 40 feet tall, like black, shiny scales. And I could just tell, how shiny the scales were with no light in the void. It just communicated to me that, like,
I'm shiny as fuck.
yes, I'm shiny as hell. No, but like, no, but that it communicated to me like he was once afraid too. Like every one of those scales is shining. Like he was so afraid at one point. He was this little, tiny little worm that nobody cared about, and he is 6 to 10 times the size of me. And I was just looking at, like, starting from the bottom. I still can't remember if he had 2 hands and 2 feet or if it was just a serpent. But
could have been both.
I do feel that way.
Yeah,
I do feel that way because when it started out, I saw him kind of just like floating. I'm like, wait, is that like a slug? Is that like what? Like,
good thing you didn't say that.
No, I know. Good thing I didn't see the slug. But like,
so I feel compelled to just mention this and get on with the story. It's like there's a West African ancestral spirit from the Fan people of Benin called Dambaluedo that became very big in Haiti. The snake guy. Enslaved people got taken to Haiti and under abjectly appalling conditions, and their ancestral connections to other realities spoke to them through alternative means,
right,
and offered them help.
Okay.
And that's how people survived some of those plantations. The life expectancy was 10 years. Right. It was just, they were awful. And they were like 75 or 150 different languages. And they had to form something that worked. And one of the deities that came through was an ancestral deity from the Fan people of Benin, is what I remember, is what's in my head. And Dambaluedo.
And what's that one?
A big deal Haitian spirit.
Wow.
That people get initiated into.
See, now I'm going to get into the
and
name.
why this would come to you without any African ancestry, I don't know. And maybe it isn't even that, but that's, I mean, it's not like I know. This is what came to my mind, and it came 3 times, so I said it.
No, and I'm glad you shared, because that's context, right? Like that's pulling from other realms that we can, so that's important.
And it had a conversation with you.
But it only had a conversation. And this is the key moment. I need to finish describing this, and then I'm going to get into like kind of what I looked up. You could fact check me, but no, I mean, for real. So I looked this thing in the eye, and mind you, I'm terrified to look it in the eye. And the second I saw it floating, the first I was like, wait, is that a slug? What the hell is that thing? It's in the shadows. And then I'd start to see it's like, oh my, like I'm like taken aback, and then but also like kind of so afraid that I'm amazed. It's kind of like,
well, this was okay.
Wow, like that type of
awe.
Yeah, it was like so terrified that you're amazed.
The imagery of it is, in a sense, constructed to help you feel what you got to feel. Right. It takes this form for you.
Yeah.
Right. And you're seeing what's there, but it's like it's a presentation.
Yeah. Right. No, it is. It is a presentation. It's a download. It's a podcast. It's something that is already within you, but it's not of this world, like you said.
Yeah. And it's a being. It's got beingness.
Yeah.
That comes together in this form.
It was magical. I wrote I might read it later at the end, but I wrote a letter to the serpent. I like really felt grateful to be there. And so
good.
So, but going back to the story, you know, I look it in the eye, I'm terrified. But the second I saw it, like I made it out that it wasn't just a slug, it was a serpent. I knew why it was there, which is weird because I didn't know any of, you know, what is the symbolism of the serpent? What is the meaning, the history of all of this visual? I just knew that it was there to help me let go of things and to see myself in a holistic light, you know, and to really take everything out and put it on the ground and reorganize it. And I knew that the second I saw it, and I didn't know why, but I just accepted it. It was like, okay, I surrendered. Now this vision is coming to me. This is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm feeling. This is the sensation inside of me. And so I looked the serpent in the eye, and then it was like this conversation, you know, it was like, you know, he reminded me like of, you know, that I'm okay. He reminded me of that.
Nice.
And that he reminded me that I'm able to overcome the darkest parts of myself. And like he really gave me this motivation to do that, and this motivation to, you know, any unwise decision to think twice, and to have this, you know, raising the bar for myself. And it was like this excellence, and it was like this theme of self-improvement. And, you know, so what I looked up afterwards, because, and there's still some more visions that we'll get into, but, you know, I had to bring it up because I wanted to see your thoughts on, you know, what the heck this could be, because you said that the Haitian spirit deity, but I looked up online. There's this thing, Kundalini. There's Kundalini yoga. It's the
serpent, yeah,
the coiled
absolutely.
serpent, and it comes from the navel and it activates up through your body, right? And so I think, you know, maybe because Kundalini is all about recognizing your full potential as a human being once your mind's limitations are removed from the photo. And that's really the sense of what that conversation with the serpent was about, was looking it in the eye and being like, yeah, like,
that's entirely plausible. Entirely plausible. Kundalini is a really strong, you know, I've only done a little bit of it.
right.
I wouldn't mind doing a lot more of it.
But the Kundalini, that's like, explain that. Like, is that a like, what is Kundalini?
It's as I understand it, and again, I haven't studied it or done it.
Right.
It's an energy that's coiled up in your root and uncoils and helps you experience your majesty and your authenticity.
Because my practitioner said that they saw nothing on my root chakra. It was like a light trying to get through, but it couldn't. And then they went up the next one, and still, like, this light was like trying to get up.
Yeah. And so you saw, you didn't experience it in your body.
I didn't. That was when it felt like I was in the concrete brick when they were working on those.
Right. Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And this is showing you how it can be.
That, yes.
Okay.
That's what the serpent's saying. How can it be? Yeah.
And this serpent might have aspects of Kundalini. It might have aspects of this, you know, Beninese spirit. It could be a spirit that's helping you personally. Right. You might meet him again, right? It might be, you know, your wisdom, access self, speaking in the form of a serpent. Right. And it just depends on how the relationship pans out.
100%.
There's a, you know.
I hope I see them again, because I don't know what it was, but I hope I see.
Well, you can ask about pronouns,
right? When we have that rapport, you know. So, but in a serious note, again, this is probably one of the top 5 moments of my life of like reckoning, and it was just profound. And so then after I saw that serpent, you know, he kind of just faded into the void after. But again, that was like literally the most scared I've felt in like years. I've never
and it worked out.
Yeah. And again,
well, because the power of this shit, if you were counter to it, would be devastating. Mm-hmm. And it was showing you that. right? It was also showing you the power of the defense mechanisms that present itself as terror, right? Those are there because there was something somebody should have been afraid of,
Right.
right? And it shows you the fear by saying, if you don't let us drive, this is the kind of shit's going to happen to you.
Yes.
Right. And it's like that song that I like so much, that Oliver Lake song. With repeated acts of courage, we overcome fear. If you're wasting your time, no, don't do that stuff around here. And if you want to be in the center of yourself, you got to move right on it. You can't do nothing else but go for it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what this shit is saying to you, right? You veer into crazy town, you're
Right.
going to get crazy town shit, and you're going to survive it. Just come back.
Right.
Just come back. It isn't like you got to be better than you are to be good enough.
Right.
Right? It isn't. You're saying, yeah, here's a fear that's telling you you're not good enough. You're not enough to handle yourself in this situation. Too scary. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like saying, yeah, you see that? This is what happens when you persevere.
Right. This is what happens when you take the serpent lesson of a higher self, right? Of a more conscious self.
There's a lot of ways to run the geometry and the schematics of it. Right? There's a lot of ways. You know, higher self. There's
I think it
tons
is
of
though.
those.
It is.
It's yours. You get to call it how you want to, but there's a lot of them, and you can look at it from that point and let that sit, and then come back to it and analyze the whole thing. Well, what if that was this?
Right.
Whatever the fuck comes up for you is what's up for you. Yeah. This is obviously more than like a cute experience watching an anime while you're stoned, right?
It's really not.
Yeah. So this
is
not
seeing dragons after getting baked. Like that's not what it like. Guys, that's not what it
unlike was. That, but it's a whole lot more. It's a whole lot more, and you get to have as many iterations of it as you get. You know what I mean by that? You experience it. You experience it. You're experiencing it now.
I am.
2 weeks later.
Yeah.
This will quite likely continue to resonate.
Yeah.
And oh, that's what that shit was. Oh, I could say it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not stuck. Like this is the the June 19th Jack experiencing it this way. Yeah. Future Jacks may have very different experiences.
Yeah. Oh, it makes me think because it's because of where I am right now. Because and again, that goes into the next vision of like where I am in my life. And the next thing I started to see as the serpent faded away, I didn't see myself anymore. Because like I was looking at myself in third person perspective the whole time in that. And I just was like looking around, but I could feel the vision as if it was first. Like I could feel like looking left, looking right, but I was like above. And then it cut like right when I looked in the serpent in the eye, it cut to like me, like in like.
Yeah, you were in and out of your body.
Yeah, I was in and out of my body. And it like cut to like me looking the other way. And then I knew like right when it made that cut, it's like you're having eye contact with the snake or with the serpent, right? It's not a snake, it's a serpent, right? And that moment, that cinematic, that was
a clunk
right when we looked at each other. And I didn't see it. See, that's the beautiful part about it. It wasn't like this like hallucination where I was like, oh, it was like the cinematic experience of like click. Now we locked eyes. Then it cut out again, and you see Jack locking eyes with this serpent that's so much bigger and more powerful and more sovereign than I could even imagine, you know.
And part of that is because you saw it that way, right? And by clicking into what you see more of it. And that's going to happen every time you go back into this thing, right? Yeah. You can look at it from a one scale. You can look at one scale and have a whole experience. So what do I see reflected in that scale?
Right.
Right? There are multiple chapters to be written off of this experience.
Right.
You have the potential to bring this healing, awakening experience into your flesh in ways that are going to change your flesh. Right? You went into this saying, I want to deal with my epilepsy.
Yeah, take a pulse check on life, epilepsy, what's
and
going
most
on.
of this experience was in and out of your body.
Right.
Right? Out, in, out, in, out, in.
It was.
Right. And a tree sticks out of the ground and goes up a certain number of feet and out a certain number of feet and likely goes down as far as it goes up and sometimes twice as wide.
Underground.
And so do you. Right? As flamboyant and as awesome as this shit was, it's that way in your flesh. There's that many dimensions on the inside. And there are specific practices that I can steer you to. They're going to help you prepare your physical being to physically experience this shit.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Let's bring that out. Yes.
Yeah, because it's like you have been shown an amazing thing here. Right?
That's it.
And you can metabolize it to whatever level you can metabolize it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there.
And if you're going to be having shit like this happen, you better make your fucking body strong. This is what they told me in San Francisco. It's like the hate's filled with people that had ecstatic experiences and their third eye open and it blew their nervous systems out and they walk around drooling. Not uncommon at all.
So this was opening my third eye? That's what you think that is?
It's not only that, but anytime you're seeing shit like this, yeah, your third eye's open. Yeah.
Because like my practitioner said when they got to my crown, it was their hands, their legs started shaking. Their hands were like, they were feeling, they said they were feeling and this is near the end of my vision, but we'll get to that. But they were feeling spinal fluids in their neck. She felt all these like spinal fluids going up and down and like these brain zaps, they were saying, quote unquote brain zaps. And
electricity,
all of this energy, all of this like
yeah. And see if you if when your body gets stronger, right? Like when your kidneys really can hold it, it's going to ease the pressure on your nervous system.
So I mean, yeah, but I mean, think about that. Think about getting a physical reaction from something spiritual.
That has happened to me.
I mean, no doubt about it. It's not an everyday experience, though.
Well, it is actually. When you have it more often, you realize this is who you are. Okay. Right? Okay. You're coming out of a long sleep.
That's what I not what I titled it, but when I integrated this experience, I wrote it down vividly, a 2.5-page document of everything. You know, that's what it was this feeling of awakening.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like I was doing a pulse check or this or that. It felt quite literally like a spiritual awakening.
Yeah, it was 100%. And
yeah,
you're only just a little bit of the way into it. How awake it's going to get you. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like you could stop here, you know, and be this guy that had this cool shit happen 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you probably couldn't.
I probably couldn't.
No. So it's like gear up, Buttercup.
This is just the start, everyone.
Yeah. And you were really lucky and blessed that you got something that you could handle.
Right.
And a lot of people get more than they can handle. But making that shit easy on your system, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could use help even dealing with what you had to do 3 weeks ago, let alone with the assignment you got 2 weeks ago.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just having epilepsy is a fucking pain in the ass. right?
No
But
shit,
have an
man.
epilepsy that leads you to experience, giant snakes and wormholes and shit. It's like, treat yourself good.
No, you're right, because that's also like what I took away, and like,
because here's another thing, right? When you start talking about this shit, people are going to fight you on it, right? You're opening shit up that people spend a lot of time trying to keep closed.
Why is that?
Fear.
Why do they think, why do they think, oh, these visions, the Reiki,
How scared did you get when you saw the snake?
The serpent.
When
I saw the serpent, again,
you're ready to pee yourself.
Top 5 moment.
Right.
Top 5 moment. This is not like a casual YouTube, like this is a top 5 moment.
And if you've been raised in a culture that told you that was the evil deity, and you saw him one-on-one, that could mean that you were cursed.
Could. But this is the thing.
I'm just saying, if you tell this story to me and I freak out, I'm saying, oh, he's this or he's that.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It needs to have scaffolding.
But also, like, take into account, like, the serpent, right? There's such a dual meaning there. No, because it's
more than dual.
Well, like 10 meanings, but like for the serpent, like mainly people think of fear, they think of death, they think of like, right?
In West Africa, it's power.
Yeah.
Ashe.
Power. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the Yoruba word.
Let me just put it in a way that I felt the pain of the serpent, and I felt my own pain because of that. And yeah. So think about that.
Okay.
I was like,
good. I'm glad you told me that, because that puts you a whole 3 layers in.
Because it was like, I see you and I see your pain. And what I wrote in the letter, the concluding line was, I see your strength and I see your pain. One day I'll harness it. One day I'll teach you. And it was this sense, and I just wrote that. It just came to me, and I was like, I want to do that, and I want to harness that.
Yeah, but see, you're also
teach
all of the different pronouns in that.
Right.
You're that teacher and the learner and the snake and
again, interconnectedness, fabric on the shirt.
And you can experience that letter as the addresser or the addressee. Right? Because it's an usness. The usness includes all of the characters, right? In your opera, right? All of the characters are there, and each one of them is capable,
right,
of amazing shit and awful shit.
And
you didn't get shown much awful shit.
Right. It was darkness. It was abstractness. It was all things that had emotional. It was on an emotional vector that was very visible, so
that's a sweetheart deal.
It is
because you didn't have more than a few breaths at a time of really, really serious awfulness.
Right. It was just that like moment of anticipation.
No, it's terror.
No, it wasn't anticipation. It was terror.
There's anticipation, and you're not wrong, but it's like, don't be afraid, because it's like the strong emotion. This is something I realized in healing school. It's like, I don't just get guilt, I get shame. I don't get fear, I get terror. I don't get anger, I get rage.
Yeah.
I don't get sadness, I get despair.
Right.
I don't get joy, I get fucking elation. And it's like, and it's like, okay, so what?
Right.
My meter goes that far, and if it went that far, that would be fine, and if it went that'd be fine too. I mean,
right.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, but I've been telling this story about this guy Shamshir Bjors. He was a Sufi initiate of Hazrat Khan, and he's from Norway or something like that, one of those Scandinavian countries, and he was living in San Francisco in the glory years when all the hippies were there. He was an engineer, and he invented a machine that they would mount in the surf on a beach, and had a lever that would rise and fall with the waves, and it would make electricity.
Wow!
Right?
Look at that.
Yeah, it had a a magnet with wires wrapped around it, and it generated electricity from that. So it's like, if you can metabolize the usable energy
But you
out
think
of
it's
emotions,
because of my situation as an epileptic, you think gives me a unique vision as that?
yeah,
Or do you think it's just
because
coincidence, happenstance that, I saw all these, life-changing visuals for the first time ever doing Reiki and not really being a meditation wizard, and started to just see them,
Pablo Picasso once said, "When I haven't any red, I use blue." Right? This is what came to you, and we have no fucking clue why. Right? This is what came to you. It's a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you can say, is this gift because it's like, I don't know. I mean, if you feel resonance going down those holes, by all means, go. But it's like, it's different. It would be different if you had a different kind of mustache and different kind of glasses.
Right.
But this is what it is. This is what it is.
I see.
This is my Shabda Khan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Said, this is how it is right now.
Right.
And this is what you got. Tawadakwe said, if it's here, I figure it's supposed to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was the sense overwhelmingly that I really got throughout this whole session, was like, I'm being shown this for a reason, and it became clearer.
A bunch of reasons.
Yeah, no, and it became clearer, closer I got to the end. And then after I really came back, and it wasn't like I couldn't move my body. Like, I was conscious. But I was consciously seeing visuals that changed my life, and I was consciously seeing visuals that pulled on certain emotions that were very hand-picked. Like, someone went into a garden of my feelings and picked specific flowers and made a bouquet of this is what we're going to do today.
And again, I want to say that you making a conscious effort to ground yourself, focus your intentions, and ask for something in particular led to that. When you start seeing wild shit and you don't do that, you just see wild shit. Allentown is filled with people yelling at cars. Right? Filled with them. Getting something you can fucking metabolize, physically metabolize. Eat it as food. My brother follows this guy, Chogyam Trungpa, and he told me like 30 years ago, he said, there's the story and the feeling. He said, and we use the story to get to the feeling, and then we throw it away because it doesn't matter. And we eat the feeling like food. This is what I'm saying. It's like the physical dynamic of being embodied and having this kind of realities happen to you means that you're either going to be feeding your body with what you experience or getting exhausted.
Right. It's a binary reality of like, it can go one way or the other, and you are the one with the skeleton key to unlock the key to the kingdom of everything.
I think it's more than binary. You do have keys to open it, but you're putting your request in and hoping for the best. Right? You didn't say, I want to see the snake.
No, I didn't. Right? No, I didn't.
No,
I never said that.
No, and you never would.
I never said that.
You never would have. And it's like the first time I actually meditated was trying to figure out how to smoke less marijuana. Because we'd be hanging out and talking at a party, and somebody tap you on the shoulder and hand you something, and all of a sudden you're like, it's like, what the fuck happened? And I thought, when people were having drinking contests and, just crazy shit.
Yeah,
crazy shit. And so I said, I was a contrarian. I said, I want to get where I need to go on the minimum dosage. Mm-hmm. So I was sitting in my car over by Delaware Park, and I grounded myself really good. And then I said, okay, this is what I want to happen. I set my intention. I didn't call it that. And then I had one puff, and I waited to see what happened.
Come on.
And that's meditation.
Wow.
That's meditation. It's like there's a process. You enter it. You have an experience. You exit.
Like that. Yeah.
You know, like that. And having shit comes on you without you making any preparation, right? But if you have made preparations in the past, in parallel,
I'm relating to this very much.
Yeah, scaffolding. It's like you might be having a lot more of these now. You might never have another one, but they might come on you. I mean, you don't drive,
yeah,
so you don't have to worry about that. But shit happens.
Yeah,
people have acid flashbacks, and oh! It's like,
right.
And we don't know the physical events that are coming. We know that they're going to be, some of them are going to be very tumultuous, and a lot of systems are breaking apart.
Right.
The economy's going haywire, the political system is going haywire, the parties, the environment's going haywire. And I like to say,
yeah,
there's a lot of shit cracking. A lot of shit has gotten brittle and rigid, and it's cracking off. And I like to say it's hell for the shell, but for the chick coming out, it's liberation. Right. And you experience some major ass cracking in that. Right. Yeah. And you came through relatively unscathed, but sometimes it really hurts a lot more than that.
Right.
And what the payoff is.
Right.
For repeated acts of courage.
I know it now. It's
undeniable.
Real. Yeah.
This is a yakin experience. You have certainty that hanging with it pays. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like
like you can't buy that.
People get fucking PhDs without having that experience.
Yes.
There's billionaires that haven't ever experienced that. I just need one more. And there's sure as shit junkies down in Allentown hoping for one more.
Hey, it's interesting.
Yeah. And you having it is not just for you. Right? There's a collective.
All of this.
Yeah. I mean, the us. The us includes people that aren't making it through and people that are making it through. Right? Meditation isn't just the time when it works. Spiritual experiences just don't include the pleasant ones. Right? Meditation practice is like, I don't even fucking feel like it today. That's part of your practice.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like, prepare yourself for awesome shit to happen. Right? In Sufi terminology, there's this cool word, ishq. I-S-H-K or I-S-K-H. Sometimes ashk. And it means this kind of love that you get that seeps through from shame or fear or rage. It's like it's mana. It's refined emotional difficulties.
Again, this is resonating so hard with my life and my experience.
Yeah.
Like,
you're it's like this teaching story that Coleman Barks, I think, translated from Rumi, or that guy that he got the translation from. And it's like, it's a long story about Moses busting on somebody that's praying goofy.
Yeah.
And it's a cool story, but it's not really germane. But the punchline of it is, God in his infinite mercy accepts even bad coin. It's like, even me, right, gets to be of use. Right. And a lot of what you're experiencing is hard to fucking deal with.
Yeah.
But your reward is all the love you can metabolize.
That's really, really reassuring. That's.
Yeah, I'll sing the song that goes with it. I woke up. I was having a health crisis.
Okay.
A near-death experience, kind of. I woke up in the middle of the night having this really, really vivid dream vision thing.
Yeah.
And part of me had another part down, choking him out and punching him in the face over and over again.
Oh.
And it was very upsetting. And I was and I heard there's a whole crowd around singing. And I woke up enough so that I could sing the song, and I sang it into my phone. And it said, "There is enough love. There is enough love. There is enough love for you and for me. There is enough love. There is enough love. There is enough love for all of us." Daddy. Right? And it's like they stopped killing each other. There's an endless supply of love. Right? That's not how we were raised. That's not what our lore tells us. What I was told culturally is that I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Unless I'm better, I'm not going to be good enough.
Right.
Not
good enough just the way you are.
So there's one more part to this, right? Or two more.
One more part, which is what?
I don't know. The vision.
The vision. Oh yeah, there's one more. Oh yeah, we're getting lost in a realm here, everyone.
No, we're not lost. We're traveling.
We're traveling straight forward. This is very limited.
I don't know straightforward, but we're meandering our way through.
Yeah, we're making it around town, all the stops. So this next vision, the serpent fades away, and it's almost looks like now we're filming out of a 30 mm, like a circular camera or something. It's like a vignette. It's like vignette type of energy, and like around the circle of vision, dude, around the circle of vision, like I can't make this up. Like there's a branch that comes down, and the branch is like drip of water off the leaf into the center of the vignette, which is still the serpent fading away, and it's like drip, 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 ripple, 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 and then it all faded away. The serpent was gone. Drip, 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 and then the plant like recoiled almost, and then it was like, then I was like seeing nothing and seeing nothing. I was like, okay, what am I gonna see? What am I gonna see? And then it was like zooming in, like, and it started to fade in from black, and it started to zoom into a yellow house, and I could see every grain of wood. I could see the color was so vibrant, the front lawn, I just saw it so vividly. And then it zoomed out because it was just like literally on the siding. I saw the siding and like the cement where the basement is and the grass. And so I was like, okay, I know I'm looking at a house. And it zoomed out, and then I'm just looking at that yellow house. And then the camera starts to pan, and it's moving to the left, and I'm seeing the next house. And I'm like, okay, again, this thought of like, is this even real? Like, what is happening to me? And then the next house, and then a neighborhood, and then a city, and it's all tiny house. It's hard to see because it's so far away. It's zoomed out. And again, it just a very timely vision for my life, because I think a lot of the things I'm thinking about are related to, career, to money, to security, to the, and so that's what my practitioner was saying. This house is probably something that really relates to where your mental state is around all of this, because there's one side of me that really, wants that status, wants the have it, but then there's the other side that just really doesn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
At all.
Yeah.
Right. And so I felt like that was really, and again, once I realized I made that connection, seeing that vignette, I'm like, oh shit. Like,
keep talking, I'm going to look something up.
Yeah. I could look it up. And so once I made that connection, everyone, like it was plain and clear that this vision was really trying to communicate not only my entrepreneurial spirit of like go out after it and get it, but also like, here's what your dreams look like self-actualized. So not only are we like highlighting this house and like blah 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 and like, but like here's what it looks like. And it's like,
so I got another one for you.
Oh gosh, this is amazing.
I just was reading this autobiography of a Tibetan monk that got caught by the Chinese
Okay.
when they put in a dungeon for 30 years and
Survived.
Yeah. Oh, more than survived.
Oh.
More than survived. Yeah, it was a cool story. I'll just run the thumbnail of it.
Yeah,
and then get to the part that's germane here. They put him in a stone building with no heat.
Right.
And they gave him stuff to eat that was charitably referred to as filth. And they beat the fuck out of him every day. And he had done the meditation practices that allow you to heat your body temperature up. And the final exam for the class is they put wet towels on you in a 40-degree room, and you got to dry them out. Right. And the food, the filth, which is like rice with little bits of green thing and spit in it. It was like manna from heaven. And it was like, it had a rough exterior, but the inside was something that, the universe had given to him. The beatings were really tricky. Right. Because it hurt. But he devised this visualization that said these were benevolent, highly benevolent spirits, humans who had great karmic risk to themselves, were providing him with this incredible retreat. And after 30 years, he was glowing, and they threw him out. Right? That's a story that I heard. I haven't gotten very deep into the book yet. But the colors of what they represent, you know what yellow represents?
What's that?
Earth.
Earth.
Yeah. I'll read you the other ones. Yeah, I mean, that's where you started out, right?
Yeah.
In the earth.
In the earth, yeah.
Yellow for earth, red for fire, blue for sky, white for clouds, and green for water.
Yeah, and I feel like
you're being asked or being offered a chance to fully incarnate physically in ways that you didn't get all the way through, which is really common.
And a lot of people, because
mostly everybody, it's like
everybody has dreams, things they want to go after.
Not only that, but it's like the visuals that I was shown was that there's like a tube you jump into, and you float down, and you go through different realms, angelic and jinn, and then you come into the idea of humanity, and then it's like you scout around and you see your birth family down there, and that you've got a time and that you're going to be born, and then you're born, and then you come into your body, and it's like, do you get all the way down to the core of the earth like you're connected, like your vision showed you, and then come back out? Or do you die partway through, or do you get suspended and fucked up? Right? Ideally, you make a full trajectory, and then you come back and you do what's called die before death.
Right.
And you be who you really are, not who. Because when you come into your personality and your family, it's like you're on a swing, on a rope swing, sliding through laundry hung up, and you get hit with all kind of, and then you got to undo that shit. Right. And so this, if that means something to you, the yellow house is come all the way in.
Come all the way in how?
Incarnate all the way down into the shit that's in concrete. Right? It's a big challenge because part of you likes being up there, right? Which is fine. But the snake is a very physical symbol. Snake lives in the earth.
So you're saying the house, the snake, they're connected. They tell a narrative one and the same.
Not one and the same, but they're talking to each other. They're talking to each other, and you get to experience this vision from this point, from that point, from this point, from that point.
Right.
Yeah. You can do it from the vision, from the standpoint of Earth. You can do it from the standpoint of how does this all relate to the yellow house? Right. It's yours.
Yeah.
It's yours. And just as some of the identifications are going to prove useless. Some of them are going to prove, oh, wow.
Right.
I did not expect that.
Right. Yeah.
With repeated acts of courage, we overcome fear. If you're wasting your time, now do not do that stuff around here.
Right. Don't do that stuff around. Don't waste your time. It's like,
or when you do waste your time, say, oh, I just wasted time. Okay, enough.
yeah.
I mean, part of it comes from, time wasters. Part of my shit is wasting time.
Yeah. We all.
When I'm having one of those long COVID sessions, it's like the best I can do is breathe and play solitaire.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah.
It's like I would much prefer to be doing something productive.
Yeah.
But anyway.
No, the vision, it really kind of communicated that to me. So it was really unique. And that was really the majority of all that I saw. And then it kind of faded back and I just started feeling emotions and I kind of wrote those down. And
Good.
But it was a wind down after the house.
Like
really.
what emotions?
Joy, like ecstatic joy.
Yeah.
I felt like I just won a new car or something like that. I felt closer to the ground physically and spiritually, like
earth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really the earth, like your vision's trying to tell you. Yeah. I felt
in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I literally, physically, mentally, spiritually, like felt closer to the ground, felt this sense of happiness and like, it's interesting you brought up that glowing sensation because I literally felt like I was glowing for like 2 days after like the Reiki session. I was like, wow, I took this in and like, this is, I can't stop riding this emotion. I can't stop riding this feeling that's so real that I didn't know was this real. Like,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if that resonates.
Very much. Very much. That's like when you read about, the spiritual heroes reports.
Yeah.
That's what they talk about. It's like, holy fuck, that happened to me. And you read about them, Abraham and Moses.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, one of my teachers, CDL Jamal, said, be the Jesus of your time. Be the Muhammad of your time. These are roles. These are chairs.
All right.
Like
they're not you're an active participant.
Like endowed chairs at a university.
Yeah.
Right? And you're sitting in that chair right now. And it's coming through you. And you're experiencing Jack stuff, but you're experiencing a good deal more than Jack stuff.
Right.
And integrating all that shit is a lot.
I think it's a lot to process, but
you think it is.
It made me like, I wish more people could process that. And I think about the world we would live in if everyone processed.
That's where it's going. That's where it's going. And there's, there's room for people that don't want to, and they get to have their own universes.
Right.
But, people.
But the overwhelming majority of people don't want to have these conversations.
We don't have any idea. Right. And I don't give a shit. If they don't want to have those conversations, don't have them.
No, I know.
Right? I want to have them, and I want to have them with people that can metabolize them. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's like metabolizing them means a lot of different things.
Right.
It's like I want to serve them for dinner.
Yes.
And I want to serve them to people that know how to cook, and I want people that know how to eat and know how to be grateful for it.
Right. Because it's a practice, because it's a lifelong commitment, because it's about really understanding your place, because reality is, if we live to 100 years old, we got 36,500 days. Like, and I went to, and that was told to me, that was not something I go around saying that's something that I was told when I went to the Virgin Islands. I was hanging out with some Rastafarians, and they were telling me, hey, if you make it to 100, you only get 36,500 days.
Yeah.
Then I come home. Months later, I have this vision. It's all about taking advantage and making the most of what we have. And sometimes things seem impossible, dreams we have, the aspirations, but right around the corner is believing in yourself and is believing
yourselves.
That's what it is. It's not about me. It's believing in us and
in what you actually experience.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways Samuel Lewis talked about Sufism is it's built on experience, not premises.
Right.
It's like, what did you actually live through? Not what were you told stuff meant.
It's not if this then that. It's like, well, what happened? Then we'll figure that part out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll close with the quote from James Brown, who said, "You got to use what you got to get what you need, y'all."
Very fitting quote. Very fitting quote for the end of this wonderful, eye-opening conversation.
Yeah, man, this is good shit. I
had a boatload of fun, I gotta say, talking about this with you. And Halim, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for helping me to expand upon the journey of my own life and where I'm going, and helping it to digest for our viewers and people that are watching this.
Hi, viewers.
Hi. Hey. but thank you for doing that, because you're acting in a facilitator role in that way. So thank you.
Yeah, and it reminded me of so many wild stories that happened to me. Yeah. It's like I blinked out like 2 or 3 times thinking about this one.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I got picked to be one of the possible guinea pigs on a group healing session in front of 350 people at the healing school.
Oh, wow.
And I was the last one picked, and I'd given up. And I had this bomb healing, and I started to come out of it, and I thought, well, I don't think I need to be done.
Yeah. And
I went back in, and I had 6 more. There was like a dozen of them. And I woke up, and people were like there's snot all over me, and people are like, and ooh, it's like,
yeah.
And I got the cassette of it, and I had it again driving in my car.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, this kind of shit happens.
Right.
It happens. You know, and it happened to you, and that's proof. And it isn't like anybody can say that didn't happen.
Right.
It's like, there wasn't a physical snake in the physical room with you. That's all we can really say for sure. Right. And I have a question. Was the Reiki guy doing hands-on?
No, not hands-on. That was a woman too.
Yeah. So it was radiating it.
Yeah, I believe I had my eyes closed. I didn't know shit.
You wouldn't know.
I mean, before we close this out, like, do you have any questions for me? Because I feel like I've been opening the book. I've been opening the book.
Yeah. Well, I made you talk about a lot of it.
I know. We've been working together. We've been talking about the usness of doing things together. I'm just thinking, maybe if there's anything, maybe one closing question that you have about my experience that we could just kind of, riff off of, because I feel no, we can riff all day, but I feel that, you've experienced some profound things that, probably have a lot of overlapping with.
Oh, well, yeah, because the places that you go are real addresses, right? They really exist. And it's like, it doesn't mean you can't like fantasize about shit or hallucinate or be full of shit.
Right.
But when you're not, you're not. And there's a lot of, I mean, the Islamic Sufis, the Shadaliyas that I studied with, have this model called 4 layers of the heart. And it's like an outer chamber, and then you lean back through like a waterfall, and you're in the next one. And then the next one and the next one. Yeah. And they got names, and they got geometries and geographies and rules. Right.
Right.
And it's like, when you're starting to play around with this shit, it's nice to know other people have been there before.
Hmm.
You know, it's like there's a learned experience. You know, we're fellow travelers on this path, right? And you have experienced something that actually happened to you. This isn't something that you saw in a movie or you didn't read it in a book. You had it actually happen, right? And the only real, maybe the real value of having it, somebody like me here, is to confirm it. This is not some kind of bullshit that just, you know, that you made up.
Right.
You know? Yeah. And that's, it's really helpful to have them in context.
Right.
To be able to say there is a community around this. I mean, people have been traveling this way for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. We got bumped up from being apes about 200,000 years ago. And our brains got massively increased in size to the point that our sinuses don't work right. You know, and we developed all this culture and art and science and shit, and, you know, pollution and racism and, you know, and
all of that stuff.
Yeah. And now we're at a crossroads, right? We're at a crossroads. The old shit is like, in the yoga tradition, one of them is talking about this is Kali Yuga, which is end times. And it doesn't mean anything in particular is going to end, but the old shit, that period is done.
It's over.
That period is done. We're in transition now. Right? And this, the fact that you get to have such an avant experience and not go fucking nuts is a really good sign for where we're headed.
I guess if I could just ask one last closing question, you know, do these experiences often disorient first time, you know, people that, you know, some, you know, I wasn't thrown into a loop. It literally, like I said, felt like I won a car.
Stick
I won
with
the
that.
lottery. No, but
don't poke down what could have happened.
Is that a common thing to feel like that after? Because I think, you know, a lot of people might be afraid of it. And so, like,
a lot of people are afraid of it.
You know,
and so editing this down. And I went to school for this, right? And I learned, you know,
for what? Let's for. So, what did you go to school for specifically? Like
a few different things.
Okay.
A few different things, and the one I'm speaking of specifically here was his Sufi spiritual healing school.
Yeah.
That at that time was called the it's very different now, but it was called the Jaffe Institute, or the University of Sufism.
Okay.
And it was like the vision of this Islamic Sufi sheikh from Jerusalem, actually from Syria originally, I think, named Sidi al-Jamal, and he was the imam at Al-Aqsa, the mosque at the Dome of the Rock. And they said when he spoke, 1 million people would come out to hear him. And then he would come over incognito to America and wander around and just be on his own. Somebody said they took him to the emergency room for something, and he's in there, and it was like they walk in the room and it's like there's like nobody there, and it's just boring, and he's just sitting there. And like within 10 minutes, there was 45 people in there. And he said, "What's going on?" He goes, They're drinking the essence." Right. And he developed this thing, and he found this, you know, this energy healing school, and made them be Muslims.
Wow.
And taught this curriculum, and it was fucking lunatic. It changed, the curriculum changed it was like 3 or 4 sessions a year. And every time you'd go in there, and they'd say, "We were wrong before. We got a whole new thing set up." People go like,
yeah.
It was hilarious. It was hilarious. And they walked us through these 4 layers of the heart and the 4 worlds that go with them.
Right.
And they said, and everyone they took us through, I'd been in before, but I didn't know what they were called or where they were.
Right.
Right. And it's like learning the landscape doesn't mean that's the only way, the only set of criterion there are to describe a landscape, but this is a particular one. You know, and it's like when you're out in the regular working world called Mulk, there's shit you got to do right. and shit. You gotta, if you don't do it right, you're not. The next world is Malakut, and that's about love, right? But it doesn't seem like it's about love right off the bat, because it's wizards and angels, and it's like where you go when you're tripping, right? Sometimes when you're, and then inside of that is Jabarut, which is sacred geometry and sacred architecture.
Shit that I was seeing, all of this stuff that I was seeing.
And then in from that,
the heart. I was seeing the heart.
That, yes,
I was
it's
seeing...
called Lahut. And Lahut is like, there's almost nothing there. There's like misty clouds. And then there's a couple more after that.
Lahut,
but
wow.
But the tradition that Neil Douglas Klotz said is that there's 7 levels of understanding from the Middle Eastern wisdom traditions, and only the first 3 are comprehensible with the brain. Right? So you may experience deeper shit than that, but when you get back, you'll write down the key, and what you wrote down was peanut butter. It's like, oh, great. Right? And the coolest, one of the coolest spiritual books is Nisargadatta. Nisargadatta Maharaj was a dude from the 20th century in Bombay area, and he started out as like a shopkeeper or something, and he was interested in yoga, so he found a teacher, and the guy showed him how to meditate and showed him some physical things, and then got really intense with him one day and said, "Everything I am is inside of you." And then he died. It was like, whoa. He said, but I believed him, so I did the practices. And in a year and a half, everything opened up. And he didn't leave. He stayed there the rest of his life. And he dedicated his life to having hilarious conversations with people about real shit. And he said the essence of what he was given was, you can never know who you really are. Right? Because when you're who you really are, your brain doesn't even fucking pertain. Right? So you come back going like, wow, that was really something. Right? He said, but what you can know is who you're not. So when you find yourself full of shit, you can say, well, who is it that fucking thinks that? And then, then you get this place called The Observer. And it's like, oh, I'm looking at that part of me and feeling this. And it's feeling, right? Feeling is different than knowing, than thinking. Feeling is different than thinking, right? And the highest level that you can get to with thinking is the lowest level you can reach in the feeling mind.
Right.
Right? So hanging on to the imagery and the techniques and the stories, you're doomed to be a happy idiot. And you got to make peace with being a compulsive happy idiot, and then get into what it feels like. And I'll tell you one quick story. I was at this, I think you've heard this already. I was at the Sportsman's watching my friend's Grateful Dead cover band, and the guitar players were not in rhythmic alignment. And I was feeling really, really sad because no one asked me to sit in. And if I just had a couple of, I could mellow them right out. And this voice says to me, it's like, how would you feel if they had asked you to play? It's like, oh, I'd feel like helpful and useful and honored and valuable. It's like, well, why don't you see if you can't feel that way now, rather than holding your happiness hostage to shit beyond your control?
Right.
And I did it. Took a couple minutes. And I said, all right, I'm feeling useful and valuable and honored and calm. And at that point, I noticed that the guitar players were... Come on. No, I'm not. It's like, did I do that? I didn't do shit.
Yeah.
But there's a whole level of reality that feels fucking awesome. And if you say, I want to go where it feels awesome and I want to breathe that into my material existence, that's how shit manifests.
Right.
Not going, it's going to be so awesome when I'm finally people like me.
Yeah.
Who is it that feels like that? Oh. Tell you this idea for a book first, and then do that, all right? Because it just came up, and this book was about drug experiences, and interview a lot of people on this. Like, I did this and this is what happened, and this worked and this one didn't work, and it was this kind of drug or this kind of experience, or and it's like let people see what the menu actually is. It's like, this was really cool, but it didn't work out so well in the ensuing thing, and I did this and this sucked, but this was awesome. Right? And having stuff like this where people get to talk about their actual authentic experiences in a context, right, of what's real and what's not, and what means what, and what does it mean to you.
Yes,
that really can help people that have this kind of shit with nobody to bounce it off of. Right? You've done a lot of work on looking at shit already, right? Yeah. And if this had happened to you before that, it'd be pretty easy for you to fall prey to voices that said, I'm losing my shit, I'm going fucking nuts, or I'm the king. Finding some context to normalize wonder.
Normalizing wonder. Yeah. I mean, that could be the name of this whole thing.
Normalizing wonder.
Yeah, I think that's a wrap, everyone. We're normalizing wonder, and this hopefully will become a series of discussions. This could be the first one, but we appreciate you tuning in, and we're going to be following up on this occasionally. So, thank you, Halim, for joining me, for being here and present, and all of our viewers, I hope you took something from this. You found something within yourself, even if you don't believe in anything we talked about. Hopefully, you found something in yourself that you can bring out into the world. Maybe be more proud of. Maybe understand a little bit more. So
maybe survive.
There we go. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, everyone.
Yay. Be the other. And I was doing my little qigong shit this morning, and I realized that I could feel my breath going in between the inside and outside of me, and it was flowing, and it was so peaceful and so relaxing. And I had to develop, I was a really, really strong guy, 20, 30 years ago. And I had a lot of big solid muscle. I mean, I played congas and I worked, scraped houses and shit, and it's like I had a lot of thick, ropey muscle on top of injuries and inherited traumas. And then I had everything kind of broke down 5 years ago, and a lot of the structures, and I kind of collapsed. And then I had to build myself back up, because shit has an optimum alignment and your organs work better. When something is a little kinked, the flow stops. The flow stops. And when you're trying to live the experiences like you have, and then it shuts down, it gets your fucking attention fucking fast.
Right.
It's like, I was feeling so wonderful, and now I feel awful. Oh my God. And it's like, that's part of it, right? It's part of it. And if you metabolize who you are when you feel awful, it really helps metabolize who you are when you feel wonderful.
Right.
Because the strongest lessons are not the cute bunnies ones.
Right.
It's wonderful feeling love and light and oneness. But what did you remember from that? Love, light, and oneness. It's like, but oh man, the one where the fucking snake got me. I had one. Oh my God. One of Buffalo's most amazing musicians, kit drummer, mostly. And someone that lives in the other world more than he lives in this one.
Right.
He said, "You want to split a hit of acid 3 ways, and we'll go watch jazz at Nietzsche's." It's like, it's been, 30, 40 years since I did acid, but sure. And I did it. And by the time we got to Nietzsche's, we're taping this, aren't we? By the time we got to Nietzsche's, it's like, I'm not going in there. And by the time I walked home to Essex Street, it was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And it was like, for the next 14 hours, nothing that ever has made me feel good worked. I couldn't play music. I couldn't listen to music. I couldn't do qigong. I couldn't do Sufi practice. I couldn't sing. I couldn't, nothing. And it was like, oh, this is an ordeal. you know? And once I figured out that it was going to be an unpleasant experience, I mellowed out. All right, so I'm not supposed to be doing something else. But it was like if you're a caterpillar and you're done being a caterpillar and you're ready for the next step, you build yourself a little pod and you digest all your previous experiences. And this was like being rendered.
Right.
It was like hanging in an acid bath and watching shit bubble off of me. And I had to face, despair. You haven't been looking at that, have you? It's like you lost your family. You lost your house. You lost your business. You lost your, your health. Yeah, right. It's like you're all alone in a place, and nothing works. And I climbed into the tub and it was dirty. I hadn't even been in the tub yet. I just moved into this fucking apartment. It was like, you getting it? Face it. And when you face it, it's all right. And it was a while. I couldn't even cry. I cried the next day watching videos of people that won America's Got Talent. It's like Golden, whatever the fuck it was. It's like, this is fucking corny shit and I don't care.
Yeah.
And I don't care. And it's like some experiences are fucking dreadful and momentous. And building up your capacity to have whatever version comes. Right? Because I'm telling you, you can learn more from the shitty ones.
Right.
And there's lessons that you can't learn except by having shitty ones. With repeated acts of courage, we overcome fear. If you're wasting your time, don't do that shit around here. Because I'll tell you, it's like the first time I saw people getting high, it was like they're reaching up. Oh my God, look at that. And then after a while, it's like, I got to get my head down here to get
right.
And then it's like, oh shit. And then you're rolling around in the fucking mud trying to clear out the.
Right.
It's like maybe getting high isn't the answer. Maybe this is about getting low. Maybe I need to understand. So that's a lot of the practices I've been doing, dealing with, this.
And that's how you get to that way, that building your body up is to not only have your repeated acts of courage and not wasting your time and living in a harmonious process, but it's also
being real with what is.
Right.
And if somebody's in my life and it's like they're there and it upsets me, I can other them. Mm-hmm. Or I can say, who is it that feels this way? What do you need and how can I help? Right. It's like I wouldn't have this annoying shit in my life if I didn't have a receptor. Right? It wouldn't bother me. A lot of shit just doesn't bother me anymore. People say stupid shit. It's like a guy that I used to go to for healthcare warned me that if I didn't think of politics in this particular way, I would be a cuck. It's like a cuck. That's like, just like, you know what? Trying to be better than I am in order to pass muster with somebody else is not a motivator for me anymore.
Right.
I'm not going to fucking fight with you about this. I'm not going to ban you. And, some of my friends said nasty things. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. But if shit does rile me up, it's me.
Right.
And developing my capacity for dealing with me.
That's how you build it up.
That's
how
my
you
job.
Build it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And being able to catch. Okay, because a lot of in Qigong, a lot of the reservoir where you collect the goodies is in your belly.
Yeah.
And it's like if it lands up and you tip over,
right,
nothing's gonna go in your belly.
Right. You have to be.
It's like the Scots, those wild fucking Celts, do this competition called a caber toss, and they pick up like a telephone pole, and they go,
and that's how you do it.
Yeah, and you're holding a huge weight in your belly and supporting it with your legs and making a funny face, and it's like it's not that different. than dealing with being an asshole.
The release of the weight, though. Yeah, it's the weight.
Being able to hold what you can hold without breaking. Yeah. And there was another one. I got this cool Qigong lesson at a Memorial Day parade in East Aurora.
Oh, that's
at the cemetery, and I was playing with this hilarious band. It was very strange, but I met this guy that had been a sailor in the U.S. Navy right after Vietnam War ended, and they were on a boat with 500 other sailors, driving around with 2,000 Marines invading beaches.
Huh.
Just being fucking nuts.
Being fucking nuts.
Yeah. And the sailors walked like this, and he demonstrated it. And it was like the waves would come and they go. They're in a boat. They're in a boat, right? They're in a boat, and the Marines, and the waves would go. Ah! And the sailors were all laughing at the Marines because they couldn't get through a fucking doorway. They were always in the sick bay, having smashed themselves into the doorway, into the door jamb. Wow. And it's like, so that's a lot of it for me, right? And this whole lunatic shit that I got gifted in this weird way about belly button Qigong.
Yeah.
It was called Ancestral Wisdom Qigong. And it's like your umbilical cord is where you landed when you first hit the beach. It's like a boogie board, or what are those called? What are they called? Those where you run and throw it down in front of you and
oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's like that's where you spent the first episode of being incarnated, right? And you were getting downloads from your mom and downloads from your ancestry, and you were still in contact with who you'd been before you got here. And that information, the physical aspect of that information, we lost access to on birth. But the psychic connection is not subject to time or space. So when a lunatic pain or an instability or an emotion or a freak out comes up, you can say, hey, why don't you check in with who the fuck you were in umbilical land, where everything was connected to getting nourished.
So it's this oneness and recognizing, that we might not know who I was before I was born, but that's inextricably linked to who I am now. And
the part of you that is that guy knows exactly who you were. I got more stories like this, and I'm kind of running out of gas, but the last one is like this village of huts that I got shown one time.
Yeah.
And the parts of me, my male self, my judge selves, my, asshole selves,
right,
my workers, yada yada, are all out there in huts, and they've been together for a bunch of lifetimes. And then there's a hut where the souls live. And most times the souls look out the door and somebody goes, fuck you, go back inside. And that's the only time they experience being out until they die. And then they sit inside and they watch self TV. And it's like, oh, Lucky's being really mean to her. And then their faces fall into it like that Pensieve in Harry Potter.
Oh my God.
And it's reality then. But it isn't really a reality. It's fucking TV.
Yeah.
And when you get lucky and get to go outside, like that's what happened to you, you're walking around in self world as you.
Yeah.
Right? As you, and being shown the opportunities to either be you or be one of yourselves. Oh, I'm really scared, but holy fuck, what is that?
Right.
Right? And developing our ability
100%
to make real choices.
Because that's what it is at the end of the day. These visions are about choices in our physical realm that impact,
in the day-to-day life, right out there in Mulk, because it's like
bulk. Yes,
Mulk is
Mulk. Okay,
M-U-L-K.
Mulk. Okay,
Mulk. That's like 2-dimensional world, 3-dimensional world.
Okay,
it's like no. What's in your 401k?
Yeah, what's in your wallet?
It's like people take that shit really serious because that's what they got, right? And so sneering at them because I don't do it is stupid. It's like saying, well, and it's like I get sneered at a lot. I mean, I'm sitting in the park twitching and, rich people walk by and they go, hello. They don't even know they're doing it. I thought, like, what if I could metabolize judgment? Right? What if I could take that right in here and because it's like a lot of what I deal with is combat trauma from my dad's side of the family.
Yeah.
And I was walking around one day and I was thinking, why would a benevolent universe want me to feel this profound despair? And it's like, because when it's purified, right, it's incredibly powerful. And it's like if it's diluted, it's going to grind through my fucking liver and kidneys. But if it's purified, it's like super purified essence of jalapenos that's used to make, you put a tiny bit of it in an enormous soup.
Right.
And somebody's using it. Right? Somebody's using it. There's a point to all this shit. It's like it gets extracted. And it's like you feel it and you let it come through and then you give it up. Right?
You pass it on. You try to pass it on.
Yes. And we're not othering. And we're not saying it's like, oh, those people are so annoying.
Right.
No. It's like, well, who is it that finds them annoying? And who is it that's found annoying? It's all fucking you, dude. You're pissed off at yourself. And you're judging yourself for judging yourself.
Yeah, literally.